Welcome to the Black Country Business Podcast. We're your hosts, Lewis Haydon and Andy Hemming, your coaches in helping you become a lot more successful in your business and get more from it too. So, today's episode, we're going to be talking about this one question. Are you a real business owner, or do you just own a job? Welcome everybody, you are listening to the Black Country Business Podcast. Okay, so what's going on in your world right now? So let's think about the last week then. So we've had some big news in the news, not just about coronavirus, but we've also got a new president that's going to be coming in as well. So
if they can get rid of the old one.
Yeah, if he finally chooses to get rid of himself, I think that's what it's coming down to.
Do you think he's like evicting tenants? The law is on the side of the tenant rather than the landlord.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. You know, for me, Andy, I don't listen to much news, and I think you've instilled that in me over years of coaching. When I was one of your clients 10 years back, take ownership for your own results is something that you always said to me. And oh man, my results changed in my life just from doing that. So me and the media and the news, I tend to keep out of it. But how can you ignore it? How can you ignore it when we've got business coaching clients that are talking about it? Yeah, we're talking about it. They're having to do different things and pivot their business. We went through this at the start of the year, didn't we, Andy? How business owners are pivoting their business. But this time round, what have you found, Andy, with coaching clients? Because I don't know about you, but I found that people are a lot more proactive about it. Our clients, anyway, a lot more proactive around how they're approaching this second lockdown around coronavirus. What are you finding?
I think that's right, isn't it? I mean, I've just been having a discussion with a client who's left about 10 minutes ago. And what's the difference between people who are making the most of it and the people who aren't? Mindset. We were talking about it and we were comparing mindsets of last time round, recession, whatever. At the end of the day, we're all growing a business. There's always external factors coming to get in the way. Some of them will be more serious than others. This is a pretty serious one. But there'll be others, and there have been others, and we're all still here, and the world's still turning. And for me, it's about, I think I used the word amplify quite a few times with clients and on videos and stuff over the past couple of months, because for me, it's about, all these situations are abnormal, even though uncertainty is normal. All these abnormal situations, all they do is cause people to amplify their normal behaviours. So, and I've said that a couple of times to people. You're really pulling people back to thinking about what's the effect of their behaviour rather than what's the cause. And what I mean by amplify is people who procrastinate normally are just procrastinating more. People who look for opportunities normally are looking for opportunities more. And guess what? Both people are finding evidence of either more procrastination or more opportunity. There's always both opportunities out there. And that's what I'm seeing. And I think, most of the guys that I'm talking with are busy looking for opportunities. And guess what they're finding? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, this is about philosophy, isn't it? And the way that you see the world. You mentioned mindset then. And I'm taking this back, Andy, to we spoke about it in a few podcasts, the entrepreneur ladder. These people that are at the top of the entrepreneur ladder are thinking a lot differently to the way that they've been taught from the schools, for example, get into this different notion of mindset.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? At the end of the day, we've just been talking about that as well, in that when we move, we better remind people what the entrepreneur ladder is. So most people start off their journey as an employee. And then at some point they have, Michael Gerber calls it an entrepreneurial seizure, where they decide that they're going to stop working for this idiot and go and set up something for themselves, create all that freedom and time and more money that they probably desire. And then self-employed is about exchanging time for money, and it's a mindset as well as a status. And then we moved up to manager, which is about starting to leverage other people. So it's probably still doing some of the work, but leveraging other people as well. Manager requires systems, obviously, and then business owner. We'll stop at business owner for the time being. So business owner is somebody who essentially receives money from dividends. In other words, there's no correlation with time. And as a result, they have space. And for me, that's the key thing that we need to sort of consider here today, because we're busy doing the self-employed stuff, which is the work of the business. How much space is there? Normally not so much. So how many more opportunities are there to procrastinate, and how much less opportunities are there to find opportunity when you're busy doing the work of the business? And I've had that conversation with a couple of people over the past couple of weeks. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, look, bringing it back to the whole news of what's going on right now, that's just adding stress to the situation, isn't it? All this stuff that's going on and where we're paying attention to. If we're doing the work as self-employed and we're thinking, man, how is this going to affect my business? Is the work going to stop coming in? But if we think business owner, Andy, then we're going to be thinking opportunity and having more time to actually be more proactive rather than reactive to it. And I love what you say about that time for money thing as well. There's leverage there as well. How can we leverage more opportunity? So if we're not caught up in the day-to-day stuff, and we are the business owner, where we can take a big picture of it and think, right, okay, how do we go into the business on Monday morning after all this news has come out from COVID-19 or Donald Trump, presidency and whatever? And there could be lots of different...
Brexit's still in there as well, remember?
Brexit's still in there as an excuse as well. Excuse. I will use that one. I'm choosing.
Yeah, exactly.
We best not go into that though. Different podcast. But yeah, imagine that your team's coming in on a Monday morning and you're part of that team and you can't see the end goal of where you need to be. Imagine the game of football. You're kicking the ball in different directions, not knowing where that goal is, and everyone's running over with their head on fire because of all this negative news. Who's going to be the leader for them? Who's going to be the person that sits there and go, look, this is the big picture. Yeah. We need you doing this, you doing this, you doing this, you managing this, and this is how we get through this. For me, that's a big difference in this mindset thing, Andy, because if we haven't got that person and the business owner is running around still thinking self-employed, chase work, do work, chase work, do work, how are we ever going to get any organisation there? So let's take the when we're coaching the clients, let's take the business owner out of that and give them some space. Is that the same thing that you mean by space, by the way? Is that the same context?
It is, yeah, absolutely. And, I think my the analogy that I've used with a couple of people is, imagine getting in a car. So to drive fast, how much of the road you need to be able to see?
I want to see to the end at least a couple of. It depends how fast you're going. If we're going, my top speed was 70 mile an hour. Then I'd want to see that.
Well said.
Yeah, well said.
But not in a 30.
Yeah, but on a motorway doing 70 mile an hour, I'd want to know. I don't want to see a U-turn coming up on a motorway. It's impossible. You would end up flying off the road.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, if we want to drive fast, we need to be able to see a reasonable distance ahead, don't we? And for me, if we're driving at 30, we don't need to see that far ahead. We probably just need to be able to see to the next corner or the next turn. Now, for me, if we equate that to business, if we step back into that self-employed mentality, the next turn is the end of the next job, the start of the job after that. Now, that means we're not looking very far ahead. So we don't know what pitfalls around the next corner, because there isn't very much line of sight down the road. So for me, that the creation of space is the ability to look further ahead, because we're busy working on the business, working on our driving technique to drive it faster. At the end of the day, let's be fair, you can compare a business to a car, because both are capable of transporting multiple people quickly between your current position and a destination at some point in the future. There's one difference though. You have to have driving lessons to drive that vehicle and have other people in the car with you. Nobody has to have business lessons to drive a business, though, do they? So they can get in and they can drive this thing on their own, not very fast, because they've still got L plates up and they're still focused on looking at the next turn, in other words, the next job. But they have to, if we want to get on the motorway in a car, we have to pass our test. To drive it faster, we have to pass our test. We have to be competent drivers. And to put other people in the car with us, we have to be competent drivers as well. And when we can do that, we can drive a lot faster and get to our destination a lot quicker. So that's interesting, isn't it? So I wonder why so many people are hooked up on being learners in their business, in the car, in the business, whichever,
Yeah, really interesting. When do we have the lessons to run a business? We're taught through school, aren't we, and colleges to get very technical and specific. But as the business owner, I like to think that we need to be the generalist. We need to be able to see what everyone else is doing and take that big picture of knowing where that roadmap is and what that road looks like going forward as well.
Well, we should be planning the journey, shouldn't we? We could even be sitting in the passenger seat.
Business owners, then who does?
Well, that's right. So I think for me, the key thing is, this is about a different level of thinking, isn't it? Is it about doing the driving or planning the journey? And I think, if we want more clarity on getting to the destination and be able to react faster to stuff that's happening, then maybe we should just be thinking about planning the journey rather than doing the driving.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, what's coming through my mind at the moment, Andy, is, are you a real business owner or do you actually own a job? Because if we think about it, we become a business owner and become self-employed. But that isn't a business owner. That's not the definition of business owner we're talking about here.
That's right.
There's only so many hours in a week. Regardless, one thing that we've all got in common is that 24 hours in a day.
Yep. Yeah.
When I speak to business owners, Andy, and they turn around and go, yeah, I'm really proud of what I did last week. I worked 70 hours. Okay, so if you're working 70 hours, how many hours are you actually working on the business so it can grow? What's your vision for the business? One day I want to be owning lots of businesses and all over the world and turning over millions and millions of pounds. Right, okay. So how are you going to manage that if you're already working 70 hours in your business doing all the stuff?
And by the way, what's the average hourly rate of working 70 hours in a business? Probably 10, 15 an hour tops. So how do you turn a £15 an hour job into a multi-million pound business, if that's the level you're thinking at?
Well, this is self-employed, isn't it? And you mentioned earlier on, business owner, how do they get paid?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I haven't found anybody who's created a multi-million pound business while they've been doing £15 an hour work, that is for sure.
Interesting.
Not one that's running well anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I'm just going back to this. Are you a real business owner or do you just own a job?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you learn to drive your car fast or are you just looking for the next turning?
Well, this is it. You don't need lessons to go into business, do we? We just go and sign some papers and there you go. Here's your business.
Yep, quite. So, interesting. Plenty of opportunities out there if you can see more of the road ahead, I would suggest. And you can't see more of the road ahead if your head's under the bonnet.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And just on that last comment that Andy just mentioned then, how can you see the road ahead if your head is under the bonnet? You see, guys, you're the only person here as the business owner. Everybody else you can employ and you can get the specialists in there to do what you need to do. However, it needs you to be the business owner. So let's start thinking a little bit differently about how we're going to move this and go down that road ahead in the future. Because if no one else can, only you can do this stuff. Okay? So, as always, if you need any help with planning or talking about where the direction of the future of the business is going, or if you've got some roadblocks in the way down that road, don't hang around on it, guys. Take action. Pick up the phone and talk to one of the coaches. Email us. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Whatever you want to do, we're there to help you because it's our vision, that roadmap ahead, helping as many Black Country business owners as we can. As always, guys, we don't host any sort of advertisements on this podcast. So the one price that we do ask for you guys is, if anything has clicked with you today, who is the one person that you could share this with? Another business owner, like-minded, like you, that would enjoy this podcast, because that's how we all grow together. So, I hope you enjoyed today. Look forward to catching up with you next week.